Hello, and welcome to the Flickr. This is our first video and today, we are going to talk about the new COVID variation and what do we know about it. New COVID variation. What do we know? The quick spread of another variation of COVID has been accused for the presentation of severe level 4 blending rules for a great many individuals, harsher limitations on blending at Christmas in England, Scotland and Wales, and different nations setting the UK on a movement boycott. So how has it gone from being non-existent to the most widely recognized type of the infection in pieces of England very quickly? The public authorities' consultants on new diseases presently state they have high certainty that it is more ready to send than different variations. All the work is at a beginning phase, contains immense vulnerabilities, and a not insignificant rundown of unanswered inquiries. Infections transform constantly, and it's imperative to keep a laser center around whether the infection's conduct is evolving. For what reason is this variation causing concern? Three things are coming together that mean it is attracting attention. It is rapidly replacing other versions of the virus. It has mutations that affect part of the virus likely to be important. Some of those mutations have already been shown in the lab to increase the ability of the virus to infect cells. All of these come together to build a case for a virus that can spread more easily. These meet up to construct a case for an infection that can spread all the more without any problem. Be that as it may, we don't have supreme assurance. New strains can turn out to be more normal essentially by being in the perfect spot at the perfect time. For example, London, which had just level 2 limitations up to this point. Be that as it may, as of now the avocation for level 4 limitations is partially to diminish the spread of the variation. Research facility tests are required, yet would you like to stand by weeks or months to see the outcomes and make a move to restrict the spread? Most likely not in these conditions, Prof. Nick Lohman, from the COVID-19 Genomics UK Consortium, advised. How much quicker is it spreading? It was first distinguished in September. In November around a fourth of cases in London were the new variation. This arrived at almost 66% of cases in mid-December. You can perceive how the variation has come to overwhelm the consequences of testing in certain focuses, for example, the Milton Keynes Lighthouse Laboratory. Mathematicians have been running the numbers on the spread of various variations, trying to figure the amount of an edge this one may have. In any case, prodding separated what is because of individuals' conduct and what is because of the infection is hard. The figure referenced by Prime Minister Boris Johnson was that the variation might be up to 70% more contagious. He said this might be expanding the R number, which demonstrates if a pandemic is developing or contracting by 0.4. That 70% number showed up in an introduction by Dr. Eric Volz from Imperial College London on Friday. During the discussion he stated, "It is actually too soon to tell. However, from what we see so far it is becoming rapidly, it is becoming quicker than a past variant ever developed, yet it is essential to watch out for this." There is no nailed-on figure for the amount more irresistible the variation might be. Researchers, whose work isn't yet open, have disclosed to me figures both a lot higher and much lower than 70%. In any case, there remain inquiries regarding whether it is any more irresistible whatsoever. The measure of proof in the public space is woefully insufficient to draw solid or firm conclusions on whether the infection has genuinely expanded transmission, said Prof. Jonathan Ball, a virologist at the University of Nottingham. How far has it spread? It is thought the variation either arose in a patient in the UK or has been imported from a nation with a lower capacity to screen COVID transformations. The variation can be found across the UK, aside from Northern Ireland, however it is intensely packed in London, the southeast and eastern England. Cases somewhere else in the nation don't appear to have taken off. Information from NextStrain, which has been observing the hereditary codes of the viral examples around the globe, recommend cases in Denmark and Australia have come from the UK. The Netherlands has additionally announced cases. Has this occurred previously? The infection that was first distinguished in Wuhan, China, isn't a similar one you will discover in many corners of the world. The D614G transformation arose in Europe in February and turned into the internationally predominant type of the infection. Another, called A222V, spread across Europe and was connected to individuals' mid-year occasions in Spain. What do we think about the new changes? An underlying examination of the new variation has been distributed and distinguishes 17 possibly significant modifications. There have been changes to the spike protein. This is the key the infection uses to open the entryway to our body's cells. One change, called N501Y, adjusts the main piece of the spike, known as the receptor restricting space. This is the place where the spike connects with the outside of our body's cells. Any progressions that make it simpler for the infection to get inside are probably going to give it an edge. It looks and scents like a significant transformation, said Prof. Lohman. The other change, a H69V70 erasure, in which a little piece of the spike is taken out, has arisen a few times previously, incorporating broadly and tainted mink. Work by Prof. Ravi Gupta at the University of Cambridge has recommended this change expands infectivity 2 overlay in lab tests. Studies by a similar gathering propose the erasure makes antibodies from the blood of survivors less compelling at assaulting the infection. Where has it come from? The variation is abnormally exceptionally transformed. The most probable clarification is the variation has arisen in a patient with a debilitated resistant framework that couldn't beat the infection. Rather, their body turned into a favorable place for the infection to transform. Does it make the disease all the more fatal? There is no proof to propose that it does, despite the fact that this should be checked. Be that as it may, simply expanding transmission would be sufficient to mess up clinics. In the event that the new variation implies more individuals are contaminated all the more rapidly, that would thusly prompt more individuals requiring medical clinic therapy. Will the antibodies neutralize the new variation? Very likely indeed, or possibly for the present. Each of the 3 driving immunizations build up a safe reaction against the current spike, which is the reason the inquiry comes up. Antibodies train the safe framework to assault a few unique pieces of the infection, so despite the fact that piece of the spike has transformed, the immunizations should in any case work. In any case, in the event that we let it add more changes, at that point you begin stressing, said Prof. Gupta. This infection is conceivably on a pathway for antibody escape. It has made the principal couple of strides towards that. Immunization escape happens when the infection changes, so it avoids the full impact of the antibody and keeps on tainting individuals. This might be the most concerning component of what's going on with the infection. This variation is only the most recent to show the infection is proceeding to adjust as it contaminates increasingly more of us. An introduction by Prof. David Robertson from the University of Glasgow. The infection will most likely have the option to create immunization get away from freaks. That would set us in a place like influenza, where the antibodies should be consistently refreshed. Luckily, the immunizations we have are exceptionally simple to change.